Peace, love, and power, everybody. It is Aisha Shaheed of All Neighbors Powerfully United, and I am here with the amazing Dr. Kathy Tatum. And we are on the call with a call to action. And today is election day here in Houston, Texas. And there's so many things going on right now, from the government being shut down, the stop of SNAP benefits, and so many other things that we can't even keep up with. And so today, I have Dr. Kathy Tatum on the call so we can get into some particulars about what's going on and how we as a community can be more of assistance and do our part better. So without further ado, I'm going to let Dr. Kathy Tatum introduce herself.
Hello, world. Okay, so Houston, I'm saying Houston, I don't know how far this goes all around the United States, because what we talk about in one city absolutely is the same all around the world. No matter where you go, things are happening each time, everywhere. So I'm Dr. Kathy Tatum. I am running for at-large city council. I run a nonprofit called Collaborating Voices Foundation, and I come from property management, apartments, real estate. I do domestic violence, human trafficking, senior citizens, things and everything that's in a school, teachers, trying to make sure that tangible resources go into the community.
Absolutely. So, and how long have you been doing the community organization work and just serving your community?
I feel like since birth, I feel like I've always had this upbringing. I come from a very strong grandfather that served his country, and then my dad, Army. I just feel like I've always been part of something that is community based. So
Yeah.
I was born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and then by way of South Carolina, which is country. And then I learned, from our ancestors and making sure that we do gardening and everything in South Carolina. And, people ask me, how long have I been working? It's no lie. I've been working since I was 3 years old. And people say, how? Because in South Carolina, there wasn't a machine that picked cotton, and it was actually Black folks that went out there still. So I went out there with my uncles and my dad and my aunts, and I've been picking all kind of fruits and vegetables to make sure that we had what we had in our house. So of course you picked for the person that owns the land, but then you were able to take a bucket home full of fruits and vegetables.
Yeah, and I love what you said. You've been doing this since birth, and that's I can relate to that too. I grew up in the household, the youngest of six, and we all played sports. And I used to see my father, um, when he saw potential in other kids, he would go out of his way to pay for their registration for track and field or buy them spikes. And I never really questioned it. I just observed what he was doing and why he was doing it, because he saw the potential in the people. So that's an amazing thing. And so I appreciate you so much for what you have been doing um, for the last decades. My first question to you I want to ask is, what inspired you to step um, from community service into politics?
Well, I feel like everything's politics in our community. We feel like politics is actually having a seat. In like, you actually have a seat, but everything that we do is politics. And I see that our community, they stand back. And a lot of times we complain, and we have to, when we say we need to be at the table, no, we should be running the table and building the table and bringing other people along. So when I was joining all of these forces and having politicians come into our community, everybody that has been community based, we know what it feels like, people coming into the community, wanting to do the surveys, and then we're like, okay, where did they go? So I did the marches. I did okay, let's be part of this, because if we're 800 strong, we're definitely going to get that funding. And then I saw there's no funding. So I always tell people I am naturally nosy. I mean, naturally, I want to know where that money goes. Okay, we watch TV and we talk about corruption, but where did the corruption, what made the other politicians become corrupt? because in our faces, they're saying we want to do businesses, we want to build economical growth. But then I'm like, but you're in position to make that happen. What's
Right.
happening on the other side that we don't know about? And I just became nosy.
Right. And nothing's wrong with that. That's a good thing. And I feel like more people should be nosy about the right things, and that way they'll get their answers and stop waiting for people to, we expect people to be honest with us, but we know that's not the case. And so you have made such an impact on the community in so many ways, in serving the community. So what does impact mean to you on a personal level?
Well, if a lot of people might not know my story, I come when I look back at my life, and like a lot of people look back at their life and they have a story to tell. I did not understand at the time that I was worthy to be on this planet. Even though my dad was an army, he was away and we moved. My mom had mental health problems. So I always tell people that because of social media, we see so much is going on in our community, a lot of death, a lot of arguing, a lot of gun violence. But that has been around a long time. It's just that we had a lot of family secrets and we weren't allowed to express that. So with my mom having mental health problems, people thought that I did love school. Give me that. I love education. But part of me going to school is because I didn't have food. And not because I didn't have food at my house. My mom's mental health issues was to trap me in the basement. She stabbed me. I have a lot of broken bones, cigarette burns. Uh, you know, I was molested, gang raped, and then still had to go to school and have a meal. And I realized that even to this day, there is a huge problem where there's barriers. For example, the barriers as a child,
Yeah.
they make your parents fill out all these forms for free lunch.
Yeah.
Well, my mom wouldn't fill that out because she was a conspiracy person. She was like, nah, the white man just trying to find out where I work at. She was not going to fill those forms out, which left me hungry.
Hmm.
And that happens today. Kids come home, they give a piece of paper, the parent has to fill that out. If the parent does not fill that out, you can't go on a field trip. You can't have anything happening in your house. So I remember, and she's on my Instagram, Senorita Pugh, which is my Spanish teacher. I used to steal her lunches, and she didn't understand. She was like, go get some lunch from the cafeteria. And I'm like, I'm starving, but I made a joke of it. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take your lunch tomorrow. And finally, one day it was late and it was raining after school, and she took me home. And my mom confronted her, and she was like, I'm a teacher. I'm just bringing your check. Oh no, she can walk. She could be in a, and she had the knife in her hand, and she threatened that teacher. And of course, she called CPS because she was like, wait, something's not right at that house. So that was but after CPS came and found out, look, I grew up with Black Panthers. I grew up with Spanish Mafia. I grew up Masons and Eastern Stars, people who had things going on in our community. So if it wasn't for, I grew up with Black Panthers teaching me. I met the Black Panthers at Urban League where they taught me how to be something else besides what's in my household.
Yeah.
Today, I look for people who are leaders that can teach other students because I was educated, but I didn't know I had worth because of the house I grew up in. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I needed
Yeah.
outside sources to go, Miss Kathy. The Black Panthers, even when I walk past the drug dealers, be like, don't bother her. She got a straight A student. Y'all don't bother her. But I knew they had authority. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But they didn't leave me alone. They was like, what's your education? Did you do your work? Let me show you how to get my first word. I don't know if y'all remember this, but word processor, the first Apple computer. I got that
Yeah.
from the Black Panthers.
Wow.
And I was able to do my schoolwork. So that's why I'm saying that I've been through a lot growing up, But what you see in the community, oh, it's a little darker in here. What you see in the community is everything that I had because I was sexually assaulted, because I didn't have food, supply, because I didn't have the mental health counselors for me to talk to. You couldn't even talk to counselors in school. They will give you the same speech. They would say, Kathy, they will start the speech off with whatever you talk about in this counseling does not leave this room. Well, that was a
Yeah.
lie. That was a lie. So I try to make sure I learn people in the community that like you doing water, you doing, yoga, you doing all this stuff that I wish I had as a kid and didn't.
Yeah. 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 Wow, you said a lot, and that just said a lot about what somebody, the barriers people face, when trying to meet their basic needs, or the lack thereof. And so, as an educator and auditing ISD, I see that every day. I can tell the kids who are not eating. I can tell the kids who are dealing with a parent who may be abusive, or they have to stay up and protect their little sibling. I ask myself, like, why are you sleeping in class? What's going on? Oh, I have to stay up late because my mom has a boyfriend who thinks he's superior than everybody. But that tells me that he may be a narcissist. He may be verbally and physically abusive. And this is so I can extend that grace to this young man because I know what he's going through, and he's not trying to be disrespectful on purpose. You see what I'm saying? So these are the
Absolutely.
things that
And
we
and
have to be
that's why I
observant
said
of.
take what you just said and you're looking at signs. You don't have to go and get your counselor certificate or go to school to realize that it's all around you. It's all
Yeah,
around us. And that's why I tell so many nonprofits outreach is more than a book bag. It's part of it. We might not have
right,
supplies, but if when I'm sitting there and I'm the first kid at school, like I'm talking about school start at 6 o'clock, I'm at school at 4:15. But I'm trying to be the hall monitor. And I've learned to be in leadership. Like I'm being a hall
yeah,
monitor so I can walk around and find out what's going on in the school so I can be part of that. So when you saying that young man is needing help, I had teachers that might not come out and say that something was wrong because I
yeah,
come from a powerful family, y'all. And I'm talking about in sports, like my family has been in sports. You go past, that trophy. I see all those my uncles and all them. So I didn't have no choice but to be in some sports because they make you. But the
right,
kids I have teachers that text me like Yes Prep and HISD and Aldine, and that's why I'm going for at large because I'm all across Houston, and they're texting me saying, "Okay, Miss Kathy, we are not allowed to have our closet. The closet that I'll go in and put all this stuff in." And I'm like, "Why? The kids need this stuff." And that's why
right,
if you see me, I give Earth Breeze, and Earth Breeze is the detergent, but it's flat and it's the flat sheet. So some people are
right.
so used to the jug, but when you're dealing with students, you want to make sure they can put it in their book bag or put it in a book that they're not embarrassed because kids pick on other kids.
Correct. And that's correct. And I had the pleasure of receiving a lot of those donations from you and use and be able to use them myself, and they do make a difference. And I still have some, and when I observe in my classrooms or any student who may need something like that, you know, in the privacy of me and that student, I may ask and see how I can provide, if I can support any kind of way. I'm also reaching out to the parent to ensure that it's okay, because sometimes some parents can take that offensively, knowing that they need the support and the help. So
And
it's
my mom
about
was,
it's really
yeah, my mom was one of those people. Like I said, she did not. She thought it was embarrassing if I needed help.
Yes, and so my next question to you, which you kind of just tapped on, is as an at-large candidate, which you represent, the entire city. What are the three priorities that you want to address citywide?
The
The three
first
top
one.
priorities.
Okay, so one of the things that I want to implement is making sure people that are in each section of Houston actually come and have their voice and find out how we can get that funding. At large does not have a budget like the other city councils. But I have experience because I'm not a politician and I'm going up to businesses, they're ignoring. So, for example, I don't care if it's Cashmere Gardens, Sunnyside, Southwest Side, Acres Home. We have companies that are in what they call opportunity zones. I hope you can see me. Opportunity zones. That means they get a tax write-off for being in the underserved community. But yet the people and the leaders don't even know what that warehouse does or that business does. So a
Correct.
lot of times we want to implement that. If you're going to sit here, for example, if I'm on 290 and I go into all the restaurants and all these other locations and saying, hey guys, we have nonprofits and we have projects that are down the street. The first thing that people tell me is, well, I give to the Women's Center. Oh, I give to United Way. Well, they don't live in our neighborhood.
Right.
So I want a meeting with the businesses and I'm going to put them on blast. Why do you get to have all of these discounts? Why do you get to be in the city of Houston and get all these proclamations and you haven't even helped your zip code?
Right. Right.
Hopefully that explains it because I'm telling you, that's a
Yeah.
big difference that can
Yeah,
make
it
in each
does.
section.
And yeah, and my next question to ask you is, how do you see nonprofits and grassroots organizations working alongside, city leadership to improve the quality of life, or the city willing to work with the grassroots organizations to be able to get stuff done? Because I've noticed, especially with me being a grassroots organization, that um, it's a lot of picking and choosing, and if they even pick it or choose, but also it's a lot of stealing of ideas and things of that nature. So you may come with an idea or say, hey, I need this support on this or this done, and then you see it getting done, but without any recognition to you or for you or your organization or your community. So
Absolutely. Okay,
how do we go about that?
I feel like the community needs to start making officials sign an MOU. They come to our community and they say, okay, if we give you this contract, you have to sign an MOU or RFP. It's time for the community to send, hey, don't come in my community. Oh, you doing a town hall? It's time for town halls for them to shut up. They come to the
Yeah.
hall meeting and they talk 2 hours and give the community 10 minutes to stand up there to tell them about the heavy trash or, Miss Edna down the street don't got a breathing machine and then give you a business card and leave. It's time for
Yeah.
us to, if I'm in that seat, I'm here to make sure this is how I really feel like billboards need to be up on how much nonprofits make. I do. We have a perception that this nonprofit, because they got a proclamation, is helping our community. So the elected official comes to your community and say we're talking about farming. Okay. We're sitting there
Mhm.
going, okay, elected official, we have 4 vacant buildings in our community. Can you sign this contract to say that if we come aboard and give you all the ideas, can we stop looking at a press conference and you're standing up there with 5 other nonprofits that don't be in our community and then start building around us without us?
Hmm.
And they should be fined. To me, when do they go to jail? When do they go to jail, sis? Because you're literally taking from the Black community. When the at large is all of Houston, but then the other districts, like say it's District B or D or C, a lot of these elected officials don't even live where they say. And the way that
Correct.
we know as a community is because we got to go to city council to tell them about heavy trash. If you really live in our community, why am I telling you that there's a couch on the side of the road?
Right, right. You would see it. You would pass it every day.
So I think it should be some proof that once somebody's elected official, show me some pictures that you wasn't home. It should be on my page that today I drove through here and saw this. I should be the first one to bring it to attention, and then I should fight for the garbage can, the garbage. Let's talk about the ditches. You know, there's all kind of stuff in the ditches, right? Why at city council some of that funding, because we got people who know how to do gardening, we have people who know how to do heavy machinery. So if the
Yeah.
heavy machinery say is $100,000 and the dump truck is $100,000, why am I not getting with Mr. McGee over at Sunnyside and say, hey, you guys are in charge of cleaning your ditches, but my responsibility is to make sure you have the building, make sure you
Yeah.
have the lights in the building, make sure the water is done, and make sure that you have the heavy equipment to do what you need to do in your community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you touched on some great points, and man, it's so powerful. And my next question I want to ask you is, if elected, not even if elected, but right now, because for you to run, that means you have some kind of vision that you want to see the city go in. So, what are your long-term visions for Houston? Um, what do you want city to look like, and how do you want it to be for the next generation to come? Because again, I'm an educator. I'm in middle school. I see what's coming through there. I see the school to prison pipeline. So what vision do you see for Houston to where we can tackle a lot of these things so we can be uh just a well ordered, balanced, community just from the inside out. I know there's so many forces that we have to face, but I mean, when we talk about food insecurity and we talk about, children and mental health,
Mhm.
what vision do you have for the city?
You know, they took away the word woke, but those of us that understand that a lot of us ain't even there, okay? Um, it's an ecosystem, okay? And it's unfortunately that our community does not understand that it's not all about the presidential race. When
Yeah,
you vote for your local people and your judges, let's take judges for example. Judges are letting people out that should not be out. And then
yeah,
some people should be out because it's some petty crime, some petty things that are happening on their credit and on their. I just became the director of Houston Time Done, where a lot of the kids in juvenile are, have parents that was in the prison system. So
yeah,
we need to know what the judges are doing, what programs do they have to avoid jail, and what can the nonprofits do to team up with them, and what kind of things. Like I want everybody in every section of Houston to have their own multi centers. We can't,
mm,
we have to beg multi centers to do our events, and then we have to rush
right,
getting done and get it. I'm building a resilience hub over here. You visit my resilience hub, and I got to
yes,
beg people to fund it. The other thing with teachers need mental health places. Remember, we used to have for teachers, you know, yes, they have their little section over there that they can get their food, but schools need to have a place for teachers to walk out the door and walk around, a garden, have a break. We need to bring back A lot of our stuff that, why do I have to go to trade school where home economics, if it wasn't for things like economics and learning how to do plumbing and electric work,
Right.
our our side, we're still developers in our divisions are not building sidewalks. So Houston has been one of the most overweight cities still. No matter how much Ozempic is out there, Houston still has some problems. I come from, sis, if you don't mind, if I can say something, um, I've had a lot of health problems, right? In a couple years. Some people are looking at me going, oh, Kathy lost a lot of weight. But I'm going back to my size because I didn't get a lot of help. You know,
Right.
I went to doctors and I needed a wheelchair. I needed a lot of these agencies that are out here. I had to call almost 18 times just to get through, just to get an appointment. So we want to make sure Houston on every section has the ecosystem. They have the farmland to right now, everybody's
Yeah.
talking about the food bank, but nobody's talking about the people who actually get delivery of groceries. So we want to be able to have a Batman call out there and go, hey guys, if you're in 77003 right now, please log in. We have 3 seniors that are hungry. We have 4 students that are not appearing at schools. What nonprofit, not just the school can't do it all. We should be able to call people in the community and say, we have students in your zip code that have not came. So, for
Yeah.
example, the juvenile detention center had reached out to me and they said, Miss Kathy, we have a student that has over 46 violations in the juvenile detention center. I said, okay. They said, before we send him to jail and upgrade him to an adult, is there any way that you can talk to the family? And I said, okay. So I log in. It's called, gyms. So I logged into gyms. It took me 5 minutes to find out what was wrong with that family. It said in the system, mom is doing 10 years in prison,
Yeah.
5 students in the home, dad is working construction, dad is only getting $500 a month. He lives with the girlfriend and the kids don't get along with the girlfriend. There's a lot of problems there, isn't it?
Yes.
I called the dad up and I said, your son is about to be upgraded to be an adult. And the dad said, he's working with me. I don't make enough money. That infuriates me because the city of Houston, a lot of our city council are walking around doing job fairs, but they really don't know the community. You see what I'm saying? They just
Right.
look at all the bodies that come to their job fair, but they don't know the people. What's the point of getting a job and I ain't got no car to get to it?
Right.
I don't have no clothes. So I called the dad. I got him a job. I got him an apartment. And the son was so smart. He was able to get all his schoolwork done and do his college, applications. And now he's over at the University of Hampton.
Yeah.
And I got a nice little letter from mom in jail saying, ain't nobody helped us. Nobody. You were the first person that my husband, and believe me, the husband did not return my call right away.
Yeah.
He thought I was just like everybody else. And I'm not like everybody else. I'm trying to bring resources. I don't want to just hear your story. I want to solve what is going on with your story.
Yeah. And you said something very important to me. How can you say you're trying to help somebody and you don't know these people, the people that you're saying you want to help? And my next question to you is, I mean, how important it is for the people to know who you are and to be able to trust you and to trust that when you come, that you're there to help them and not hurt them. Because when we look around, um, and you see all these flyers and boards of who's running on the fences in your community, and not one of them has ever served soup in your neighborhood, but they're asking you for your vote, and and they're making these false promises and things that you don't even know. And then, you know, how important is it, when you're running for a position, to actually be in the community and serve, and not just when it's time for election time, but year round?
Okay, so this is not a problem, but we all grew up where we say our faith based or whatever religion or your higher faith, we say we don't need to be seen. In the Christian, we're saying we don't need to be seen because we're doing this for God, right? I was one of those people. A lot of churches are doing that. I see the harm of what that also has done.
Yeah.
While I'm at the polls, I hear, like, when I'm giving my like, today is the first day that I had flyers because I've been getting home at 4 a.m. on serving. These are the comments that I hear. Hey, Miss Tatum, oh my God, you dropped off food. Of course, I'm voting for you, but they know me as Miss Tatum or Dr. Tatum. They don't know me as Kathy Tatum, but
Yeah.
I'm serving. When I'm feeding people in disaster relief, we're looking at Matches Mac, we're looking at Trade of Truth, but you're not looking at the person behind them that is filling up the box. And we're sitting
True.
back there and we're sitting there going, well, I don't need to be recognized because I did this for God. Well, guess what? That's why people don't know who I am.
That
You
and
see
that
what I'm
takes
saying?
so much time and energy, and it's always, people in the background that's really doing the work or giving the ideas, and they only and I absolutely agree with you with that one. And so, um
And it's hurtful. It is hurtful that
yeah.
there's so many nonprofits out here. Like when you go to the Homeless Coalition, you will see over 126 agencies that are listed right there. And most of the Black and brown agencies have never been able to place not one person in housing. But we're listed there because of our ideas, of hoping that we'll get funding one day. So when I'm talking to the community and I say to them, I've been here, and
Yeah.
I've given my QR code, I'm asking the village to post me. Because if you're sitting there and you haven't posted that I'm running and you have picked up supplies, I have helped formed your nonprofit, and believe me, you don't have to pick up supplies from me directly. I am
Right.
proud to look over my Facebook, and I have a lot of humanitarians. Over 10 years ago, that I started with Good 360, and I brought that to Houston. And so many people are using that. So many nonprofits don't realize I started that program. So many people don't realize that when it's the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina, I should be in that documentary. Was not in that documentary was I was the only person that was over apartment complexes. So when Bill
Mm.
White says, okay, Katrina people are on their way, a convoy of hope was the first 18-wheeler that crossed that bridge that brought water to New Orleans, and they were part of me.
Mm.
Until this day, when a city of Houston is under disaster, all those supplies are Convoy of Hope, Mercy Chefs. I don't call 211. I call their cell phones
Mm.
because they come in running. Right now, we have over 25 agencies that landed yesterday in Jamaica, and I'm able to see it on my dashboard.
Yeah.
So I have to ask the community, what did we do that we know that we have grassroots, boots on the ground nonprofits, and we ain't said their name? We haven't shown up for them. We ain't at the polls. We ain't posting. But right now, you should see I have over 400 messages saying, "Hey, Miss Kathy, I found out that you were running for office. But while I have you on there, I have an autism kid that needs some supplies." Do you know what that does to me? That it says, yes, I need to be in office, but it's actually also hurtful. It is,
Yeah.
because I'm sitting there
Yeah.
going, that's why I'm running, because there's too many people in office. They ain't got no resources.
Right. Right. Woo. And so, I mean, for those of y'all who are watching that will watch, this is the real work. This is the real boots on the ground. And I think people are looking for, I don't know what people are looking for, somebody famous
They're
to do
definitely looking for
something.
resources, but I can't do it on my own. I had to run because, like I said, when I approach so many organizations and corporations, they're like, "Oh, I work with city council. Oh, tell city council to call me." And I'm like, "I need a soccer field. Oh, I'm working with this commissioner." And I'm like, "But we all see our city looks the same. So what are they doing
Right.
with the funding?"
Right. Right. So, we're going to come into a closing, but Dr. Kathy Tatum, I appreciate you so much for just being who you are, standing on business, being a truth trafficker, speaking the truth, and not and being unapologetic about that. Because everything that you're saying are things that we need to be asking questions for, and we just wait and we see it, on the news, and we're all like, "Oh my God, like we didn't know this was already happening," and then you're trying to find somebody to blame, but just like you said, and that's another reason why I do the Black Gala Award show and ceremony, is to acknowledge the people who is really doing the work and who are really boots on the ground, who are really making an impact, and who really stay up day and night to make sure that really real needs get met, and who are not doing it for the money. You might get an investor here to come support you, but it's not about that.
Yeah,
Because being a nonprofit has become the new get rich scheme or the new scam, and you
and it's been here. It's been here.
essentially you are hurting your community,
Yes.
by not being truthful about who you are, and your integrity and your character. So, please give everybody, today's election day. We still got time to vote. Please just give everybody a rundown about why you're running, and where people can go vote at.
You can look at, because it's early voting is done. Today's the last day to 7 o'clock. As long as you're in the line, I need you guys. If you're not around Acres Home today, I'm doing Acres Home, but everywhere in your community, you can look up Harris Votes and go and find out where you vote for. If you want to help me and stand out there for an hour or 2 hours, you tell those people, and you print out some flyers, and you say this. Even if you don't want to hand out each flyer, you can do a poster and say, "I am out here because every time there's a disaster, domestic violence, a senior, everything above, we need resource, and we always need a nonprofit. So why not put a nonprofit in office? Because everybody that you name, there's not a room I go into that I haven't invested in a business or look at them and said I helped them with their nonprofit or I have served them. I need people to understand, no matter what, I'm always going to be on the ballot because I learned so much of deceit just being on the ballot of what people are doing. I am fighting for our community. I am fighting for the leaders. I am fighting for every resource that failed me when I needed it. And
Yeah.
only way we get in is not just putting people at the table. There's people that are, I love almost every single body. And I say almost everybody because I hear what they're saying. I worked for this person. I was chief of staff of this person. Well, guess what? On my dashboard, I have so many requests. On my dashboard, I need you guys to understand. Don't just need a nonprofit, get a nonprofit in that office that actually do
Yes,
tangible resources. You can look up
yes,
on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. My nonprofit is Collaborating Voices Foundation. I've helped over 392 nonprofits become 501c3s. So that tells me that you might not know my name, but I represent every nonprofit that has closed their doors. I represent every leader that has had a heart attack and died trying to save our community and do it themselves. So, guys, get your church, get your family, get your circle, and go. We're going to get up. You can tag my Facebook, my Instagram, or just share that you went to go vote. But vote not who you know, but vote on who has resources and tangible resources, not who's going to
yes,
say, oh my God, get me in and I'm going to work with seniors. You can vote. Look, I didn't need a seat to get up, y'all. I didn't need to get a seat to do my assignment. And I'm asking you
yes,
guys that I need you to get out there. If Because at the end of the day, we are responsible for not having resources because we keep voting people in that just want to be in a seat. They want to die in a seat. They don't want nobody else to learn. They don't want nobody else to have resources. Look around your community and say, hey guys, if we can do it for Shape Center, we can do it for all nonprofits. We can.
absolutely,
We can. Thank
absolutely.
you, ma'am. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for sharing my story. And thank you for my award and collaborating voices. And I
Yes,
appreciate you.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I appreciate you too. And I'm gonna get out of here so I can go put my votes in. And y'all make sure y'all do the same. You know, this is your right. Exercise your right. This is your the same as your right of to express yourself and speak. This is the same thing you're speaking through this vote. So thank y'all so much, and
And
we'll talk with you
listen,
soon.
I'm going to
Yes.
shout out another candidate because I'm in
Okay.
Aldine. I am sitting over here with Miss Angela Williams. She is a teacher in Aldine. So I'm going to shout out and pay it forward to another candidate. Please vote if you're in Aldine, Angela Williams. Thank you.
So welcome. That's where I'm at too. So I'm gonna go do the same thing. All right. I appreciate y'all. Talk
Bye,
to you
guys.
soon.